Hey guys, I thought I would do another quick energy work little video, and to help me, we're gonna kind of have a think about what happens to us. You know that sound? Okay. So you know I use hypnotherapy in my videos, okay? Good. Nothing suspicious. All designed to heal my mind. As well as magic, as well as this. So we are going to do a reading. For your past. Knight of Swords. A speedy situation or finish. money coming your way. Money improvements. Four of Pentacles. And for the future, Page of Cups. Basic good news, it says. Good news. So I was watching this thing on the BBC, and they were asking like the Chinese president, I think, like if the choice between China and America, like who do you pick? And obviously China. They say they cannot choose. No, I know you guys. I know it's like not real. There are no problems in the world. Everyone's just finding excuses to talk to each other. I'm channeling like this is the so like do you get it? Like I'm channeling the fortune. Okay. What I'm also gonna do is see what sigil would be good for everyone today. Oh, what is this? Alright, so the enchantment. Okay, I'm gonna make it dramatic. Oh, sorry. No, I'm gonna make it cinematic. Put that in your intentions and your realities. Spiritually cinematic. It's in the entertainment pile of desires and needs. Okay. It is a decloaking room. Also known as an obscure absentia. few sigils and like a time stone kind of astrolabe. So, you know, all right, so let's see. Like we can summon on spiritual spirit guide, necrophone, necrotelevision, necrotelli, telenecron, mortatelli, mortatelli. Okay, let's reduce.
Good morning, great to have you with us. Breakfast today with Sammy Nugent and John Kane.
Now, the Olympic gymnast Joe Fraser is opening a new gym in Lichfield later on today, which is going to help to nurture the next generation of athletes. Not this generation of athletes.
The younger people. People like John
People
Watson.
with a chance.
People like John Watson, who's there to test it for us this morning. Hi, John. Morning, both. Yes, I think I've missed my chance, haven't I? But yeah, we're down here this morning because, as we know, I guess for many sportsmen and women, there comes a point in their careers where they want to give something back, and nothing could be more true than this facility, this brand new gym that's open here in Lichfield, which is a passion project of Olympic gymnast Joe Fraser. There he is. Morning, Joe, who's invested some of his own money here with a view to bringing through the next generation of gymnasts. And they've invited us down here this morning as they've opened their doors with breakfast coming down to open this brand new facility this morning, which is incredibly exciting. And it's worth reminding ourselves of the success that Team GB in Great Britain has had at the elite level in gymnastics in recent years. Over the past 3 Olympic Games, Team GB have won a total of 14 medals in gymnastics, and they will hope that that success will continue over the next Olympic cycle as we build towards the next Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028, with over £14 million being invested over this next Olympic cycle. That is an upturn of about 8% on the previous cycle. We all know that gymnastics really starts with participation, doesn't it? Over 1 million people a week up and down the country are participating in gymnastics. That covers all age groups, with 84% of those participants female, making gymnastics one of the most popular sports for women and girls. But when it comes to participation, it requires venues and facilities like these, and research from British Gymnastics has found that a lack of access to venues such as this makes participation so incredibly difficult, which makes this facility so special. And we can find out why now. We're speaking to Nicola Griffith, who's from British Gymnastics. Morning, Nicola. You must be incredibly excited that this is open. Just give us a sense why this venue in particular is so unique.
Well, it's incredibly rare for somebody to be able to go into a dedicated facility from a zero membership, but that
there's a very clever funding model, isn't there, in place, which enabled Joe to make this passion project of his come to fruition.
Yeah, so we have the Club Capital Fund, which is an initiative that was started by British Gymnastics and Sporting Assets, and it is backed by Sport England, Left Society Capital, and the Bankers Workers Charity. And we've invested around £4 million into 25 projects so far, which has enabled clubs to get into dedicated facilities like this and be able to grow the participation in the sport. And it's something that we're incredibly proud of.
And you've seen yourself having the first-hand the benefits that gymnastics can bring.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got involved in the sport because my son started gymnastics when he was about 6 years old. He's got autism and ADHD, and he used to speak and was told that he wouldn't really do much. And last year he competed in his first international, and this year did his first British Championship. So I'm really passionate about the power of gymnastics and what that can do for people and how it can change their lives.
That's incredible, and we're seeing it firsthand as well this morning with so many young people down here. Nicola, thanks very much for talking to us on breakfast this morning, and we're certainly going to be speaking to Joe a little bit later on with bunny ears as well, as we've seen. Let's take a look at some of the other sport this morning, shall we? And nearly 2 months since their last victory, Bournemouth have finally got back to winning ways as they dented Fulham's European hopes in the process. Above their opponents, Inter aim at reigniting their own European ambitions and now 6 points off the top 6 with 6 games to go. Now, an update on the health of the Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe this morning. It has been revealed he's set to miss their upcoming matches against Crystal Palace and Aston Villa this week. That's after being diagnosed with pneumonia. He went to hospital late on Friday, having felt unwell for a number of days. Elsewhere this morning, Hull City have boosted their hopes of championship survival with a late point against playoff-chasing Coventry. The Tigers were 1-0 down to Frank Lampard's side before Abu Kamara got a crucial equaliser in the final 10 minutes. That draw moves them 3 points clear of the drop zone with just 4 games remaining. Now, having played in the Champions League with the likes of Tottenham and Real Madrid, Luka Modric is now incredibly set for a spell in the Championship. Not as a player, though, instead as an investor and co-owner of Swansea City. The superstar is part of an ownership group that has purchased a minority stake at the club. He said his goal is to support the club's growth in a positive way and to help build an exciting future. Away from football, former British number 1, Cameron Norrie, will be aiming to reach the second round of the Barcelona Open today. He faces the Russian player Karen Khachanov. Victory for Norrie would see him join Jacob Burnley in the second round. The Brit won his first ATP Tour match on clay, beating Spain's Roberto Carvelas Baena in straight sets. Burnley ranked outside the top 600 a year ago. What a remarkable rise he has been. He's inside the top 100 now after winning 4 ATP Challenger titles last year. And how about this one this morning? What are the odds of this happening? Scoring a maximum 147 break in snooker, as we know, is pretty rare. To do it once is impressive. How about doing it twice in the same match? That is exactly what Jackson Page has done. He did it yesterday in qualifying for next week's World Championship. His achievement also secured him a £147,000 bonus. Amazing stuff. The Welshman made it his first maximum on Sunday during the match against Alan Taylor. Reviewed it yesterday, he picked up another to clinch the win and that 147 break as well. I'll tell you what, after that lucky break happening twice, he should be playing the lottery this weekend, shouldn't he? So here we are in Lichfield this morning. We will be speaking to Joe Fraser a little bit later on in the next hour. Morning, there we go. Just seeing the benefits that gymnastics can bring. Worth pointing out as well that Joe was one of the faces, really, of the last Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, where he won multiple gold medals. And with the opening of this facility here in Lichfield, I guess in some ways that the legacy of that Games continues. And he'll be telling us later how he plans to really give something back after what has been an incredibly successful year so far.
John, we have loved everybody there having all that fun, particularly the little lad on the space hopper just then. Very super keen.
I know. My turn next. Where do they get their energy from at this time of the morning?
No idea.
Now, at just before 20 to 7, a health story for you this morning, because a leading doctor is claiming that patients suffering from skin conditions like severe eczema and acne are being forgotten, that some of them must be in a living hell.
It's a real problem. Thousands of patients in England have been waiting a year or more to see a specialist. It's thought the increasing number of skin cancer referrals and a shortage of dermatologists are added to the pressure. Our reporter Amy Gladwell has more.
I just feel like it's a never-ending tunnel. There's just no light there.
A painful, never-ending journey is how Ellie describes her fight against eczema.
I was at college, done this face rotation in my college years, and I just look completely ill all the time when I've got a flare up like that. And you're always red, constantly, like weeping, the motion cut, bleeding all the time.
Ellie has had to wait up to 18 months for NHS treatments, and 3 years on from her first referral, she says nothing has helped. We've spoken to patients all over the country who've waited many months to see a dermatologist. It's partly because services are inundated with skin cancer referrals, which are prioritised over any other skin problem. This creates huge pressure.
These diseases are really just skin deep, they impact on the entire patient. And yes, I imagine some of these people are in a living hell. So my message would be to people in decision-making roles, we need to start innovating, we need to start taking more risks in how we design and deliver healthcare.
Waiting times for dermatology treatments in England are now longer than they were pre-COVID pandemic. 42% of skin patients are waiting longer than the NHS target of 18 weeks. Nearly 9,000 people have been waiting longer than 12 months. The British Association of Dermatologists warns that demand for NHS skin services is outstripping capacity. A shortage of dermatologists is adding to the pressure caused by cancer pathways. A Department for Health and Social Care spokesperson told us the NHS is broken and that it's unacceptable patients are having to wait in pain. They also said it's already begun reducing waiting times and has set out plans which will see millions of patients treated more quickly. The NHS Trust where Ellie lives said many patients are having to wait longer than we would like, and for this we are sorry. We are working to transform the way we deliver care to reduce our waiting lists. Ellie's journey for solutions continues.
Because I spent a long time hating myself, and it is really sad because like, now I look back at it and I'm like, oh, I didn't deserve to feel like that, and I wouldn't have allowed to feel like that.
That was Amy Gladwell reporting there, and we're joined now by Professor Faisal Ali, who's a consultant dermatologist. Morning to you.
Good morning.
It is so distressing, isn't it, when we see people with these long-term skin conditions who perhaps feel like they can't get treated. It affects every part of their lives. Is this something that in your job you're struggling to meet the needs of people who need your help?
It's devastating to see these patients, such as the two that we had on the BT. Skin disease is so pervasive, it affects every aspect of their life, their physical health, not just the itching, bleeding, the pain from the skin disease, it impacts on their sleep. They may never be able to concentrate in their jobs or their workplaces, as well as the effects upon their mental health and their psychosocial functioning. So we often have patients who see us who might not go to their job interviews, they might not want to date or form new friendships or go swimming because they're worried about the perception that others may have of them. And to what extent is this a growing problem? Sadly, with the NHS waiting list seeming to be growing as things are, increasingly what we're seeing is that the life-threatening skin cancers are prioritised, rightly, but the people that don't have life-threatening skin problems, such as those people with severe eczema, severe acne, or rashes, are seemingly pushed to the bottom of the queue. And these patients are waiting, in some cases, over a year to be seen.
And I wonder if perhaps because they are vulnerable and are desperately looking for help, they might go to resources or look for help in places that they shouldn't be. I don't know, maybe online pharmacies trying to self-diagnose. I know lots of people do that because they're so desperate.
No, and again, that's a phenomenon we're seeing increasingly with people seeking online resources and also advice from social media. But there are great resources out there. So the NHS website has useful resources on skin disease.
The British Association of Dermatologists, American Academy of Dermatologists all have approved resources that patients can use. And remember that GPs are very experienced in dealing with many skin diseases, so they often have access to creams, tablets. They might be able to arrange investigations before you see a hospital dermatologist as well.
So you say GPs could maybe deal with patients themselves for a bit longer before necessarily forwarding them onto you?
There's an element of that, but I think just because you've seen your GP and you may have tried an initial treatment with your GP and perhaps been referred to a dermatologist, there are always other treatments that can be tried. And in some parts of the country, your GP can write to the hospital department to ask what other treatments could be tried as part of an advice and guidance letter that can then be used whilst you're waiting to see your dermatologist.
Pharmacists as well? I mean, obviously, if you need specific prescription medicines, that might not be appropriate. I guess that they're always there as well.
Absolutely. So there are community pharmacists, and there are a number of disorders that they can diagnose. And if there is a prescribing pharmacist in that practice, they may be able to issue you your medication for certain diseases as well.
And in your job, when someone comes to you, they've got a real problem, haven't they? So, you're diagnosing all different types of skin conditions. How individual does someone need their treatment to be? Because it's, they could say, I've got acne or eczema or whatever, maybe be prescribed one type of cream, but actually skin conditions are hugely personal, aren't they? They can be affected by all sorts of different things.
Absolutely. So there are over 2,000 different skin conditions, so it's important to have the correct diagnosis. But treatments should be personalised to that patient. Having said that, there are certain procedures and certain treatments that can be applied to many patients. So if you have dry skin or scaling skin, applying a regular moisturiser or emollient can hugely help your symptoms without needing any prescribed medications. If you have acne or rosacea, using a cleansing routine, a moisturiser and sunblock can sometimes reduce your symptoms by 20 to 30% without needing prescribed medications as well.
Professor Faisal Ali, thank you so much. That was really interesting, really useful.
Thank you. It is 6:47 exactly. Let's go straight to Carol, who has our weather for us this morning and a little bit of promise for the weekend ahead.
A little bit more sun than it was yesterday. Yes, good morning everybody. If you're stepping out today though, it's a wet start to the day. There is some heavy rain around. It will brighten up a bit later, but there'll also be some showers later as well. Now what's happening is low pressure is really driving our weather at the moment. We're surrounded by it. We've got this great big long weather front. It's been producing all this rain through the course of the night. Some of it has been heavy. And we've also got more rain coming up from the near continent. That too has been heavy as we've gone through the early part of today. Now this band will continue to push along some eastern coastal counties before clearing off into the North Sea. The rain across southwest England and Wales will be fairly persistent and it will linger here for much of the day. So there is the risk of some localised flooding. Quite gusty winds too along the southwestern approaches. In between, a lot of dry weather. It will brighten up, but that in itself could spark off some heavy thundery showers, particularly so, but not exclusively, in the south. And after some thundery showers this morning across the northwest of Scotland, these showers becoming more isolated. We'll see some sunshine and some hazy sunshine across Northern Ireland, with just the chance of the odd shower. Temperatures, 9 in Lerwick, 13 in Glasgow and Belfast, but in any prolonged spell of the sunshine in London, we could reach 20 degrees. As we head through the evening and overnight, this area of low pressure moves north. It takes its rain northwards and into the west as well. With some coastal gales across some southern areas. And this is how we start the day tomorrow. Again, with the low pressure anchored across parts of northern and central Wales, northwest England, parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland, taking its rain with it. But windy all around this. So it's going to generally be a windy day, but it will brighten up quite widely behind this rain with some sunshine coming through. Temperatures, well, we're looking at a range 10 in the north to 15 in the south, so down on what we're looking at today, especially in the south. Then as they head into Thursday, a quieter day of weather. More of us will see some sunshine. They will be drier, but having said that, it is the month of April and we'll still see some April showers, especially in the north and the west, but again, not necessarily exclusively. Temperatures ranging from 9 in the north to about 16 as we head down towards the south. Then as we head into Good Friday and the Easter weekend, you can see how we've got low pressure out towards the west, but high pressure starting to try to build in, which means that we could want to see a bit more cloud and pull in an easterly breeze. But before we get there, on Good Friday, we're looking at a lot of dry weather in eastern areas and the chance of some rain out towards the west. But this could still change. If the high pressure builds in faster, it could move this away farther west. Just one to keep a close eye on. Sanenteur.
Thank you very much indeed, Cal. Did you see the footage of the space walk? Not walk, was it? But the 6 women going out to space. Would you do it?
No, never. Not in a million years.
You really would.
The job.
I thought you'd fancy a bit of science, a bit of exploration.
Yes, but I can do that on terra firma.
Too right.
No, it's very kind of glamorous.
It was very glamorous,
crew.
but it was interesting. It was quite compelling watching it live on the news channel yesterday afternoon.
Yeah. Turns out it only takes just a few minutes basically to get to the very, very edge of outer space. And you can actually come back all within 11 minutes.
What do you do in that time? The Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' company Blue Origin successfully launched the first female space mission in more than 60 years. Among the passengers was Bezos' fiancée Lauren Sanchez and the pop singer Katy Perry.
It's about a collective energy in there. It's about us. It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging. And it's about this wonderful world that we see right out there and appreciating it.
What a view. Incredible.
Yep.
We're joined now by Dr. Megan Arthur, who's Senior
Morning.
Lecturer in Astrophysics at the
Oh, it's
University of
okay.
Lancashire. Morning to you. What did you make of all of that?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to go to space if they had the opportunity?
Carol.
Yeah.
And yeah, 6 women in one spacecraft is really unusual. There are women that go into space all the time. There are many professional astronauts that are women, but 6 women in one spacecraft is the only all-female mission we've had since Valentina Tereshkova.
She went on her own.
First woman in space on her own back in the 1960s.
Does it matter that they were going as tourists rather than going as astronauts?
It depends on your perspective. So going into space as a tourist is something that is becoming more accessible. It's still very, very expensive, but there are more and more people who have the means to do it. The price is coming down. Being able to go into space and see that perspective of the Earth is really important. And I think having people like Katy Perry, people with that public profile, who have lots and lots of followers on social media, for her to be able to experience that and give that perspective to her followers, who will, most of them will never be able to afford it and have the experience themselves. But that perspective is really important. Seeing the Earth as, you know, a precious planet, something that we need to look after. And it was that the blue marble picture of the Earth from space for the first time back in the 1960s that galvanised the environmental movement. So that perspective really can. Every astronaut that's been up says it's that image, seeing the Earth as a whole, really shifts your perspective, changes your view on the human race and how we need to look after our world.
It's interesting you say that because some people have been quite critical of burning fuel and the environmental impact of something like this, even if it does shine a light on the wonderful world we live in.
Absolutely. The environmental impact of spaceflight is an increasing problem. We have many more spacecraft launching, not just for humans like this, but also taking satellites into space. There are now thousands of satellites in orbit, and there are plans to launch many hundreds of thousands more. And each of those launches, yes, releases chemicals into the atmosphere that doesn't ordinarily be there. The long-term consequences on that for the climate, we don't yet know. There are people modelling it, but it's difficult to predict because we don't know how big the space sector is going to get. And in the same way that aviation, once upon a time, was really small and only the purview of the people who had the means to afford it, now it's commonplace. You can fly to Paris for £20 or whatever. So many people do it, it's causing much more of an environmental impact. And as the space sector expands, both in terms of commercial spaceflight, in terms of the satellite launches, the same sort of effects are being
The
noticed and
spirits
being
want
thought
us
about
to know
in
that
model
they're being
environmental scientists.
And space science is
really
changing,
sick.
isn't it, for lots of different reasons. You're talking about the commercial aspect of it. Also in the United States, NASA is facing budget cuts, isn't it? Donald Trump wants to cut back on the money that they spend on NASA. And that will impact not just the next couple of years, but possibly the next 20 years in space travel.
Absolutely, and it's not just space travel, it's a lot of science is in the firing line. And one of the missions that is basically, it's built, it's ready for launch almost, is the Nancy Grace Roman telescope, ready for launch, and it's on the chopping block. And that is a huge waste of resources and will set back that particular field of astrophysics hugely. And a lot of people say, well, why do we bother spending money on astrophysics? It's not going to cure cancer, but it does lead to technological developments, and it is important for that perspective, seeing the Earth as a whole. And it does provide developments that, and a lot of the things that come from space travel, we can't predict in advance. We don't know what technological developments we're going to get and what impact they might have in the long term.
But what we saw yesterday, this didn't really help science, did it?
No, it didn't. It was a tourist flight. So they went up there, they enjoyed the view, they had some weightlessness. But the same rocket launches more than just people. So they may have done this, I think this was the 11th manned flight of this particular rocket, but they've done over 30 flights, and the rest of those flights have been science missions. So one they did earlier this year, they sent the capsule up, and in space they started to spin it to simulate lunar gravity, which is hard to do and expensive to do on Earth because you need a big centrifuge to do it. If you can do it in space and you get a couple of minutes of weightlessness, it's much cheaper than the 30 seconds you get in the Vomit Comet, the aircraft that does the travelers that they train astronauts in. That gives you sort of 20 to 30 seconds of lunar gravity. If you want to test your equipment, you want to test your processes, you want to test your experiments to see whether they perform well in lunar gravity, this is now a really good way to do that by putting them on one of these spacecraft. So in some ways, the tourism is funding some of the scientific developments because it's cross-subsidising the science that they can do with the spacecraft.
Dr. Meganaga, thank you very much indeed. I bet there are kids getting ready to go off to school right now who will be talking about all this because of what they saw yesterday and that footage. Props that discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It is just coming up to 7 o'clock. That means it's time to get the news of travel and the weather where you are.
Very good morning. Welcome to BBC London. I'm Thomas Smigel. A large section of the HS2 rail tunnel between Ruislip and Greenford has now been completed. The Norfolk tunnels will carry high-speed trains between London and Birmingham. The miners will soon move on to another section between Oldham Common in northwest London and Euston.
It's really positive to achieve what we've done on this bit of the tunnel, but we've still got an awful lot to do both this year, what is going to be one of our most productive years in the civils contracts, and also the next few years as well. But yeah, I think this really sets us in a good place for delivering the Euston Tunnel.
3 people have been arrested after bags of clothes believed to have been stolen from charity donation bins were found in an Essex warehouse. Police carried out a search at an industrial unit in Purfleet in Thurrock and found a large number of sacks containing clothes as well as shoes, toys and prams. Essex police also found £38,000 in cash as well as other larger items. Travellers in South London are being reminded there will be rail disruption for many over the Easter weekend due to major programme upgrades. Network Rail says a junction at Battersea will be rebuilt, a new signalling system in Lewisham will be installed, a new track will be laid on the Bromley North Line. Network Rail is urging people to plan ahead with Thameslink Southern and South Eastern trains all due to be affected. And that takes us to a look at today's travel board. And so far, there's minor delays on the Central Line, and Sandylands to New Addington remains closed on the tram. Otherwise, a good service. And that takes us to the weather with Kat.
Hello there, good morning to you. It's an unsettled start to our Tuesday morning. It's cloudy out there. We've got some little bits and bobs of rain around, but that will eventually clear. And just behind through the rest of the day, especially this afternoon, it is going to brighten up really nicely. There'll be good sunny spells around, but accompanied by some scattered showers. You can see the green in these showers indicate the heaviest burst, and there is a risk of a few rumbles of thunder. We're looking at highs today of around 19 to 20 degrees. So any sharp showers will eventually clear through this evening. It's looking much drier through the rest of the night, but quite a bit of cloud will build, and it is going to turn increasingly windy. We're looking at lows of around 8 to 9 degrees, So a windy day ahead on Wednesday. Wednesday looks much drier. There is just a chance of 1 or 2 isolated showers. And then Thursday, those winds will fall lighter. And actually Thursday is shaping up to be a lovely day. It's going to be largely dry and there should be long spells of sunshine around.
Now, before we go, it's a month until the 80th anniversary of the E-Day, and we're looking for your photos, memories, and treasured family stories from the time. If you'd like to share them with us, you can do so by scanning the QR code on your screen now, or email hello@bbc.co.uk. And that's it from me. There's much more on the BBC News app, and Aaron Hall is on BBC Radio London across the morning until 10 o'clock. I'll be back with you, though, in half an hour. Good morning.
People crazy is a lot like our relationship. Constantly working on it.
The last 5 years has just gone bad.
I think you might want another award, mate. People are stressed. Here we are. Oh, it's us.
Well, that's about it.
Stacey and Joe continues tonight at 8 on BBC One and Blackdale.
Good morning, welcome to breakfast with Sally Nugent and John.
Our headlines for you today. Anger as the month-long bin strike in Birmingham shows no sign of ending. I'm in Birmingham where workers have rejected overwhelmingly an offer to end industrial action.
Also this morning, vital raw materials are due to arrive in Scunthorpe today, but there's still uncertainty about the future of the steel plant.
It is so therefore meaningful for me as a place to balance and find a sort of sense of peace and reconnection in what is otherwise a very busy world. The Princess of Wales joins the Scouts as she discusses her love of nature.
Good morning from Lichfield, where we're finding out this morning how Olympic gymnast Joe Fraser is planning on bringing through the next generation of gymnasts at this brand new facility here that he's helped to build from the bottom up. After the White Lotus star Amy Lou Wood called out an American sketch show for mocking her appearance, we're going to discuss the fine line between satire and cruelty.
Good morning. It's a cloudy and a wet start to the day for many of us. The rain in the east will clear, it will brighten up behind it. That in itself could spark a few thundery showers. Rain in the west will linger across Wales and the southwest with a chance of some localised flooding. I'll have all the details coming up.
Morning everybody, it is Tuesday the 15th of April and bin workers in Birmingham are going to continue to strike after the latest pay offer by the City Council was overwhelmingly rejected by union members.
As it follows a 5-week standoff between members of the Unite Union and the Labour-run authority as bin bags and fly-tipped rubbish have piled high on the streets. The government says it has deployed a range of measures to try and help the council, but the Conservatives are now calling for private companies to be brought in to help clean up the mess.
Let's go live to Birmingham right now. Our reporter Fiona Lambden is there, and I think what we're all wondering if we're not in Birmingham, Fee, is what is it like to be on streets like that? Give us a sense of it, please.
Yeah, good morning, John. So this morning, driving through Birmingham, a lot of the huge piles, maybe 400 bin bags piled high. We didn't see any of those this morning, so I think it's absolutely fair to say the council is getting on top of this. However, these are 4 big industrial bins. They were collected not very long ago, a couple of days ago, and they are already overflowing, and there is rubbish collecting on top of them. And it is true to say in the last half hour, we did actually see a rat crawl out and over the top of all these. So there are definitely rats in here. The problem isn't just the bin bags. If you come along here, you will see more bin bags on the floor. For example, a bit of nesting material in there, possibly for rats. But then the fly tipping, we've got an old window frame, we've got a sofa, and then on top of this old sofa, people have dumped bits of carpet and empty drinks, and the floor is sticky. It's dirty and it smells. There's all sorts in there. I can see nappies, rotting bread, rotting meat, curdled milk. The smell is horrid. So at the weekend, the government asked the army to come in and help. As you say, the council is doing everything it can to try and get
negotiation, and no one knows when that's going to come.
This is a city entering the 6th week of all-out bin strikes, as thousands of tons of uncollected rubbish line the streets. Over the weekend, the government asked the army to step in and help.
I think since 2 weeks ago, things have improved, certainly. Once the streets have been cleaned, we've had trucks out, but there are still a number of areas that are heavily affected, a lot of side roads.
And late yesterday afternoon, hopes were dashed. The strike would soon be over, after bin workers overwhelmingly rejected the City Council's latest pay offer, saying it doesn't address the potential pay cuts for 200 drivers.
Our members have been able to see exactly what this means. They've been able to see through the lies. The actual proposal itself is very pleasing. Now, over the last few days, we've had government, ministers, MPs demanding that we put this to our members, despite it being inadequate. So we did. That's exactly what we did today. We put it forward to our members, and they saw exactly how inadequate it was.
The council say their offer is a fair one, and claims Unite's proposal focuses on retaining a role that doesn't exist at other councils, but their door remains open. The next talks will be on tomorrow.
Hey. Yes, please. No. Chicken soup.
The roll?
Yes, please.
Orange apple juice, if it comes.
Apple juice.
Yeah.
Of the strikes in Birmingham spreading further across the country. We will speak to her as well about the latest in Scunthorpe.
The roast chicken.
Because there will be an update today, John. Raw materials bought by the government will arrive at the British Steel plant today to keep those blast furnaces
Plum
burning.
and cherry
Ministers
crumble.
took control of the company from its Chinese
They've still got some plum and cherry.
Yeah.
on Saturday. Our reporter Eunice Muller is in Scunthorpe for us this morning. Morning, Eunice. So what does this mean for the people who work
Custard.
there?
Yes, please.
Sadly, after days of uncertainty, we appear to have some kind of certainty as far as raw materials needed to fire these blast furnaces.
Chicken soup again.
To avoid any damage to those furnaces, but also which could prove fatal going forward for the future of this plant. Those stocks have been available for a few days now, and in the docks, we've been told
chicken
that
masala.
coking coal and iron ore will be unloaded and then transported here later today. Yesterday, the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, said that that coal has been
vanilla
paid
ice cream,
for, and that a new team is now in place here after that government action. Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds said that the UK government has acted decisively in taking control.
I won't read it while I'm here.
No,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
UK government of politicizing trade, but the business secretary has said it became clear in talks which failed last week that Jindae, who owns this plant, claimed that it's losing around £700,000 a day. The company says
roast
that
chicken
the UK government said the company was
with
intent
roast
to
potatoes,
closing
carrots,
its plant
sprouts,
down
and
closing those furnaces. As far as the workers here are concerned, you can hear some people just now arriving for that early morning shift. They've been encouraged by the decision taken by the UK government to take control of the site. Many saw calling for full nationalisation. Of course, that's not happened. The government is still looking for a private partner going forward.
Eunice Muller live in Scunthorpe for us this morning. Thank you very much indeed. The owners of Pontins holiday parks have been charged with corporate manslaughter in connection with the death of a 68-year-old woman who'd been staying at a resort in Somerset. Wendy Jones was injured after an air conditioning duct collapsed at the Breed Sand site in 2019, which is owned by Britannia Hotels. She died in hospital 6 months later. Gardening products and Mother's Day gifts have helped UK's retail sales to rise by 1.1% since this time last year. The British Retail Consortium say food sales are also up by 1.6%, despite the fact that Easter is falling later this year. More low deposit mortgages are available to choose from than at any time since the financial crisis. The number of deals that need a deposit of 5 or 10% has risen to their highest level since 2008. So house prices and mortgage says the Trump administration is working hard on a trade deal with the United Kingdom. Import tariffs of at least 10% remain in place. Our North America correspondent David Willis has sent us this report.
This was J.D. Vance's first major interview with European outlets since he took office, and in it he made clear the Trump administration's affection for the UK government, its royal family in particular, and he made clear that when it came to negotiating trade deals, the United Kingdom was at the front of the queue. We're working very hard with Keir Starmer's government, he said, adding that there was, as he put it, a good chance that the world's largest economy, the United States, will reach a trade agreement with the UK that is in the best interest of both countries. And despite declaring that he loves Europe, J.D. Vance made clear that he holds Europe's leaders, most of them anyway, in considerably less affection, and that with the exception of Britain, Poland and France, a lack of military spending had threatened to leave European nations, as he put it, security vassals.
David Willis reporting for us there. Now, the American rapper Sean Diddy Combs has pleaded not guilty to new charges in his long-running sex trafficking case. Earlier this month, he was hit with 2 new criminal charges, bringing the total number up to 5. He denies all of them, saying that he engaged only in consensual activities. The Princess of Wales has talked about the power of spending time in nature during a visit to the Lake District with a group of scouts. Catherine spoke to the Chief Scout, Dwayne Fields, about the peace she finds while being outside during a walk around Lake Windermere. Our royal correspondent, Sean Copland, has more.
I find it a very spiritual and very intense, emotional reconnection, I suppose, with the environment.
Catherine has become a great advocate of the healing power of nature, and in this video, she talks about how much it means to her to walk in such a soothing setting in the Lake District.
Not everyone has that same enjoy perhaps with nature, but it is so therefore meaningful to me as a place to balance and find a sort of sense of peace and reconnection in what is otherwise a very busy world.
Princess is in remission from cancer and has talked about the natural world as being a kind of sanctuary in stressful moments. This was echoed by Chief Scout Dwayne Fields.
When you come out into a natural environment, it helps you understand yourself that much more. We really belong to nature, we're in tune with it.
How are you okay? Yeah? So beautiful. And then everything is here. Huge, Lake Windermere. It's huge, isn't it?
Catherine is joint president of the Scouts, and the video, recorded last month, shows how much she wants to share a profound love of nature with young people. Sean Copland, BBC News.
Love a bit of fresh air.
Well, we're going to get a bit more now, because we can tell you about a pair of ospreys who have reunited in Wales for a 3rd year after returning from their winter migration.
They are called